my, hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation Comic Book Chronicles. That's a lot of cheering just for me. That's a lot of cheering. I don't trust cheering like that when it's for me. Guys, this is Dirt. I am here alone tonight. As you know, there's this movie opening. It's about a guy who turns into ants or something. I don't know. But anyway, that movie is going on. So Agent 70 and Roddy Cat both happen to be there. Tim is like, I don't know, playing with the baby or whatever people do. So anyway, it's just me tonight. So there's the stream just got a whole lot clearer for everybody else, as 80% of the people who are watching just dropped and went away. But we are going to try to get through the show with just me here tonight. And I know it's not, you know, you're overcome by the beauty radiating through. And yeah. All right. So anyway, we're going to talk about some comics here. We're going to get into some news. Going to prep a few ads. I'm actually going to try to do everything that I'm supposed to do when those guys are gone. That's what I'm trying to do here. So hopefully this is working. I'm hoping I've got the chat window for YouTube up. So hopefully, you know, if there's any problems, I'm hoping you guys can hear me right now. Actually, I should probably, is there, go to live. You know, if there's any problems, I'm hoping you guys can hear me sound right now. Okay, there is sound coming through. So now the sound is going to be echoing here in just a second. But anyway, nonetheless, we are going to talk about comics here. And before we actually start on individual titles, I do want to take this opportunity to talk about, we had a couple True Believers books come out this week. We have a reprint here of the Fantastic Four wedding issue. For those of you who, you know, maybe you're old enough to remember when this came out, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby make an appearance at the end. They don't show their faces, but it's them. And they're trying to get in to see the wedding of Reed and Sue, and they can't get in. Fury actually blocks them because they're not on the list and won't let them in. And then also got this one reprinting the first appearance of Galactus. These are some great issues. If you have not read these in your comic book history, then that's something that you probably should look into. These are only $1, so they're real cheap. Ask your local comic shop. Maybe he didn't order, you know, some of these old ones because people don't ask. Especially if you're new to comics, you're a younger person, you're not familiar with all these. They're worth checking out to get your history. And if you're homeschooled, that counts as homework as a history lesson. All right. Moving on then. Let's take a look here. Now I'm getting like all these. I'm getting like everybody is sending me. Everybody's sending me messages now that I'm on, and none of them are about the show. Like no one's saying, "Hey, I'm watching you." Right? It's everything else. Guys, come on. I'm obviously doing this show, so come watch the show and stop sending me everything else. Okay. I'm trying to readjust things here so I can see the chat. I can see the YouTube chat. So if you hop into YouTube, I'll be able to see you there. But let's talk about some comics, and probably the one we got to start with is the one everybody's talking about, and that is The Curse of Brimstone 4. No, come on, I'm just joking with you. It's, of course, Batman 50, and I always get the alternate cover. That's just what I collect, so that's the one I got. But this is the wedding, supposedly Batman and Catwoman, and I am, you know, it was spoiled by the New York Times like at the end of last week, so it's no big thing. But here's the spoiler. If you don't want to know, you've been warned. The spoiler is that they do not get married. And yeah, they call it off. And to be honest, I'm happy with that. I have not been a fan of the whole Bruce Wayne, Selena Kyle thing going on. The relationship of Catwoman and Batman just doesn't work for me, especially with this version. Now I know, you know, back in the old days, back when your grandpappy used to read comics, The two of them actually did get married, and they had a daughter, and that's where Huntress came from. That ended up being Earth 2. So, I mean, there is a history of it. Man, if we had the lawyer guy here, Agent 70, he could give the precedent. That's the term, precedent. There's a precedent for the two of them being in a relationship. I just don't like it. I don't like this version of Catwoman, to be honest, and their whole relationship thing never worked for me. And the problem is this book, I mean, luckily it's only a $4.99. They didn't try to do a $7.99 or whatever, but this book is filled with pinups. And they got all the artists, well, I guess not all of them, but the big artists who are still alive, who've worked on Batman over the years, to come back and do pinup pages, or maybe a 2-page spread, to kind of, show Batman and Catwoman over the years at these different times. And it just feels like, I don't know, when you buy one of those like anniversary issues, or it's like some kind of special, the final one maybe sometimes, it just felt like a lot of filler, a lot of padding. And again, I don't really care about the two of them getting together. So I'm happy that it didn't work out in the long run. But this issue, as much as I enjoyed the fact that they didn't go through with it and it's over, and if you read Catwoman 1, you'll see that she has in fact moved out, and Alfred sends her things, and it's done. As much as I'm happy that was the outcome of it, this issue just like pads and pads and pads and pads until it finally gets somewhere, and you're just kind of like, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes as I'm going through. And some of these pages, it's just a pinup page and a couple of word balloons, narration balloons, whatever, and then it goes to the next one. So even though it's an oversized issue with extra stuff, that's just what happens. So there's really not a lot to it. Medicore or Mediacore. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but he just popped in the chat and he said you should contact Comic Artist Pro Secrets and join Ethan Van Sciver on a live stream. I've actually spoken to Ethan a couple times. Really nice guy. He takes a lot of heat for stuff that sometimes he puts his foot in his mouth, but he's a really nice guy. Maybe someday we can. I don't know. But anyway. So that is Batman 50. And I realize now I haven't done proper introductions. And now that someone's actually watching, I probably should. I am Dirt from popculturenetwork.com. You can find me on Twitter at PCN_Dirt. Roddy Cat, you can find it at Roddy_Cat on Twitter, or at News Nerds Need. He also has a subreddit for News Nerds Need. You can check out a bunch of links to comic book news stuff happening there. TimDog98 on Twitter, and it's TimDogG98 on Twitter. He's actually the head of the KLIQ Nation that hosts this podcast. Like I said, he's off messing with a baby or whatever. We had a baby 6 weeks ago. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, no, I'm in so much trouble. And then at Agent_70 on Twitter, he would also be here. But like I said, Roddy and Agent 70 are both seeing that Ant-Man movie tonight. So we're going to get through this. We will. Man of Steel number 6. Okay, so again, Bendis rewriting the history of Superman. Maybe we still don't really know if this villain did what he says he did, and if Jor-El knew about it. And we even kind of had this ability in the story where it might have come up and it didn't. But again, we finally get confirmation that Lois and Clark didn't split up. Lois and Jonathan are with Jor-El, and they're out in space and they're doing whatever, which will probably show up in another book at some point down the line. And so Clark is left on Earth as Superman without them around for now. So we're going to see, does he live the high life without the old ball and chain at home? I don't know. But as far as the actual story goes, it's fine. It's one of those things where they had to move a few pieces around. And honestly, a lot of what they did, they could have done in 1 or 2 issues. And this is a thing that a problem I've had with Bendis for a long time. I think he's really good at orchestrating things, planning arcs, planning crossovers, bringing these different threads together and twisting them up and, making something out of them. But as far as like his actual storytelling, they're so bogged down with dialogue that the story really doesn't move. And it took 6 issues to get to the point he could have done in an annual or in 2 issues of a regular series. I mean, that's just how it goes. Not much you can really do about that. And it stinks. It really does stink that, that's the way he does this stuff. But nonetheless, that's what happens. So Man of Steel 6, it was fine, but not my favorite thing. And, it's over. I'm ready to go back to regular monthly super books. Let's see, what else DC do I have here? I do have a couple other things here. We have Justice League number 3. And again, this is the alt cover. I always grab the alt covers on those. And again, it's fine. We've got some sort of breakdown happening with Martian Manhunter and Superman. We've got Batman and Hawk Girl in these inner space little ships flying through their body. And we've got apparently Lex Luthor is there, and another villain makes their move in here. We get just a lot of kind of poking around at the edges of the Justice League. Right now, Snyder is really, it really feels like he's having a problem juggling all these characters and all the different stuff that's going on. I'm hope he's able to kind of refocus here in a little bit. Maybe as some of these different threads start coming together, we'll have a more fluid storytelling going on, something a little more cohesive. But right now, it just feels like there are these different chunks, and they don't really seem to mesh together. So I'm hoping as it goes. Now, it's still entertaining. It's still fun. Don't get me wrong. It just feels like it needs a little more polish and a little more cohesion going on. Now, again, I don't know where he's going in the end of it. And this is only issue 3, and you're going to get 5 or 6 in the first arc to be collected. So we'll see once he gets to the end of wherever this is building, maybe things work out a little better. And maybe it is, piecemeal at the moment to, try to get everything where he needs it to be to tell his story. So I am entertained. I'm not like pissed off that I'm reading this book or anything like that, but just, it's one of those where I'd say if you just jumped into Justice League and this is one of the first Justice League things that you've read, maybe in forever or since you were 8, and now you're jumping back in, check it out. You're probably going to have to give it a couple more issues before you really get a good feel of what the story's doing and where he's going. But that's just what happens. That's how these things work. All right. As I bump the camera, sorry about that. And then our last DC that I'm going to do here is The Curse of Brimstone 4. And honestly, this got a whole lot better with this issue. I was actually kind of on the line of whether or not I was going to keep getting this or if I was going to let it drop, to be honest. I like Justin Jordan, who's the writer in general, but all of these books, these New Age of Heroes books, supposedly came out of Dark Knight's Metal, but they haven't really felt like it. Most of them just kind of feel like these random, hey, we made up some characters and let's show, Damage. Hey, let's do our version of Hulk. Silencer. Hey, let's do Punisher, but married. That type of stuff. So Curse of Brimstone didn't really feel like it fit with anything else, and the story kind of it meandered, and the characters didn't know what was going on, so therefore you didn't really know what was going on, and it just made it kind of awkward. But with this issue, now with issue number 4, they've gotten to a place where they're starting to dig up some of these answers. So some of these things that you were really questioning, and like, why is this happening? Who is this guy? How is this involved in anything? Now you know. Now you're getting there. So that's actually been very nice with Curse of Brimstone. So with this issue, like, I'm back on board. Now that we know this is the one that actually tells you, okay, Dark Knight's Metal you saw this and this and this. This is how it's connected now with this story. This is why you got your powers. This is how it connects with other stuff going on in the DC universe. This is why it's important. So that's the stuff that we needed. And you usually want to get that in like the first or second issue, which didn't happen now until 4. And again, kind of goes back to what I was saying with Justice League, is that you have to, on a lot of these books, you have to wait for the arcs to kind of work themselves out to really see where it's going and what's happening with the characters. And that is the case with this book. We had to get to 4 till we finally got to a point where we can go, okay, now I see where it's going. Now I see how this connects together, and now I'm a lot more comfortable reading the book. So, so that was pretty enjoyable. All right, so that's what I read for DC. We have 4 Marvel books I'm going to do here, and then we're going to jump over to news. So we are going to start here with Avengers. That's right, the relaunch title, Avengers #4. There are Celestials dropping out of the sky. Which was actually referenced in a Marvel book last week. What was that? Was that in Venom? In Venom, he's talking to Miles Morales, and he's like, where's the rest of the Avengers? Where's Iron Man? And he's like, Celestials are dropping out of the sky. And Venom's like, okay, well, if you don't know, then you just don't make up stories. But no, it's true. So in this one, Thor is actually talking to Odin, gets a little more insight into what's happening, or actually what happened billions of years ago when the proto-Avengers or the Avengers Prime, or I don't know I forget what they're called, but the Avengers at the beginning of time on Earth, what happened with them fighting with the Celestials. And we're starting to also see like how some of this different stuff ties together. Like we saw earlier in the series that like Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider were fighting these like roach monsters in the middle of the earth and stuff, and so now we're starting to figure out how that ties into the Celestials and everything. So again, the story is moving forward, and you do feel I do feel like now again and again 4 issues into it, now we're really starting to get somewhere with these stories. So if you've been kind of on the fence, like Avengers, I know a couple people, my buddy Kevin, he read it and he's like, I just don't get it, whatever. Now you know with 4. So at least if you dropped off, like if you read 1 and 2 and then you dropped off, you're like, I don't know, I'm feeling this, whatever. 3 and 4, then you can decide if you want to drop off. Okay. So once you get there, then you can make a much better determination of where the story's going and whether or not you're enthusiastic with it. And I'm sticking with Avengers. It's one of the ones that, at least for now, I've decided to stick with. One of the number 1s that we got this week, one that I was really looking forward to, Cosmic Ghost Rider, came out this week. And this is from Donny Cates. And if you read his work on Thanos, you know where this Ghost Rider comes from. And in that book, this Ghost Rider dies at the end of time. So there was this feeling of how do you spin this off into a new series, right? How do you take a character in what is most likely an alternate future timeline who died and make a miniseries out of them? And you think, well, you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to tell how they got to this point, even though they did, an origin of Cosmic Ghost Rider in the Thanos series. Then there you go. Well, as it turns out, that's not what they do. They continue on. In the Marvel Universe, as we know, no one is really dead forever. And so Cosmic Ghost Rider is actually in Valhalla with Odin and a lot of those other gods from Thor. And so that's actually where the story picks up, which makes it very interesting. And then they do one of these little twist things towards the end, kind of the Donny Cates sense of humor comes involved in the situation he puts him into, and boom. This was really entertaining. This is one of those where, you read it and you're like, okay, well, this has got to be like an alternate timeline or something. This can't like work out to something, because this is going to create some real problems with the Marvel Universe if this does what it says it's doing and it goes forward. But it's a lot of fun. Take no prisoners. great storyline. So that is a recommendation. That is one.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it's great.
All right. So now another Donny Cates book, another no holds barred, take no prisoners, is Death of the Inhumans #1. Now, I actually enjoyed the Inhumans books when they relaunched a couple years ago, and we had, was it All New Inhumans, and was it Uncanny Inhumans? Were those the two? I think those were the two titles, right? Anyway, I enjoyed those. I enjoyed them quite a bit. And then after about a year or so, I guess, they started to lose me. They tied more into the X-Men books. And they took, for a while there, it was more like early X-Men years, the way they were kind of doing the characters and everything. And then after a while, it just became more of like your standard Marvel Universe, whatever book. And so I lost interest and got away from the Inhumans for the last year or whatever it's been. This was actually a lot of fun. Death of the Inhumans, that's no joke. That is no joke at all. Someone is out to kill off all the Inhumans and especially make Black Bolt make his life miserable before finally dispatching him for good. And I won't spoil, but there are characters who die in this, characters that you probably liked, even if you weren't a big fan of the Inhumans, characters that you knew about, characters that you were probably like, well, at least I like that guy. Nope, not anymore. Dead. Now, whether or not they, grab a infinity gem and undo everything at the end or whatever, I don't know. But as far as if you just want a book that is carnage candy, that is Death of the Inhumans. And I know some people are kind of upset whenever they do one of these books and they kill off a bunch of characters and what's the point and whatever, but it's entertaining. It is super entertaining. And again, Donny Cates, I'm a big fan of how that turned out. Finally, my final book, my click of the week. In fact, I don't think any of the other guys wrote down their clicks of the week. No, they did not. So this is our only click. This is our click of the week, and it's mine, and that is the Immortal Hulk #2. And here's the thing: Al Ewing has taken the Hulk, a character who is dead, and figured out a very basic reason why he's not dead anymore, and it kind of works. It's a little iffy, but it's like, okay, whatever. And he turns it into a horror comic. That's right. The Incredible Hulk, the Immortal Hulk, as this series is branded, is a horror comic. This is not a superhero. This is not, just a guy fighting this problem that he has within him. The world he's in, he's dipping into a lot of dark and dangerous stuff and a lot of stuff that really, it's kind of uneasy a little bit. And this is probably what some of the stuff, like, they tried to do a Man-Thing series a year ago, and it really just, nobody cared. It didn't really take off. They've tried to do some other horror stuff over the years, and it just never quite, found its groove, whatever. Issue 2, Al Ewing has found the groove for turning Hulk into a horror comic in 2018. It's Legacy issue 719. And this is my click of the week. This is fantastic. This is only issue 2. Issue 1, I'm sure, is sold out. Second prints will be coming soon. Grab your #2. Go to Comixology, buy #1 if you need to. But read the Immortal Hulk. It is great. It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna do a quick ad read here. Maybe here we go. Audible. It's an Amazon company. Let's see here. You want to go to audibletrial.com/comicbookchronicles. Today's podcast is brought to you by audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/comicbookchronicles. Over 150,000 titles to choose for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For those listeners of Comic Book Chronicles podcast, Audible is offering the free audiobook download. I can personally recommend a few books that are on there. My favorites like 2001: A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke or The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. They're both fantastic books. And if you're one of those people that's like, I kind of want to read something that people like, maybe has some history, but I don't know if I really need to read, because I'm kind of lazy, whatever. Audible's a great way to get that stuff. And you'll start getting references. Like when people say stuff. When people talk about close the pod bay doors, please, Hal, and you have no idea what they're talking about, you'll get it. It's in the books. So go to audibletrial.com/comicbookchronicles. I got a note a few minutes ago from Roddy, and he may jump in here. He may not. I'm going to let him know I'm doing the news now, and so it's up to him if he wants to jump in or not. But we are going to go to the news. So, how you like them Snapples? All right, so first up, Young Justice, The Outsiders series has been pushed back to 2019. The DC Universe app that's coming with comics and TV shows and movies and blah, 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 blah. Young Justice is going to be pushed back as part of this. Like, they had way too much stuff coming right away, and they realized, hey, you know what? We got to kind of stagger some of this stuff out. Give people a reason not just to subscribe, but to keep subscribing. So there is that going off. DC Universe to offer digital books, live action, and animated series. So again, talking about like all this content that's coming, they're going to have a digital library like the Marvel Unlimited, but they're also going to do live action TV shows and animated shows that are part of that whole event, part of your whole subscription. So also DC Universe currently is a channel on DirecTV Now. I don't know if it's on DirecTV, the satellite service, but the streaming service, they do have a channel. Right now it's just on-demand stuff, movie trailers and behind the scenes, kind of the bonus stuff you find on the Blu-rays and the DVDs. All of that type of stuff is available on there. I don't know if it's going to go live as an actual network when this app finally comes out, but I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I lost what I was doing because I started clicking on stuff, and that is a bad thing to do. Okay, here we go. HBO's Watchmen pilot adds an Aquaman villain. With filming underway for the pilot of HBO's Watchmen, the adaptation has added 2 more actors, including the villain of Warner Brothers' Aquaman. I have not kept up on that, so I have no idea who that is. You could tell me a name, and it probably wouldn't mean anything to me anyway. So anyway, Legendary sets apocalyptic comic Animosity feature. Okay, so if you've read the comic Animosity from Aftershock, it's a post-apocalyptic survival story, whatever. Legendary Entertainment is picked that up in order to turn it into a feature-length movie. So we'll see how that goes. Jim Carrey is set to play the Sonic the Hedgehog villain, Dr. Robotnik. There's a Paramount film that is currently underway to make a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which my son will love. That is for him. And people going, why are they making a movie on it? Because my son will be there. But Jim Carrey is negotiating to star as Robotnik. Sure, why not? Let's see. Harlan Ellison, the author behind one of Star Trek's greatest episodes, passed away last week. Some mixed reactions to that, to say the least. He actually hated the episode. He wrote City on the Edge of Forever. Some changes were made, of course, when it became a TV episode. He hated it and said bad things about it for a long time. Anyway. There's a report that the Avengers 4 movie title has been confirmed, but of course it's not written here. So I have no idea what it is. But it's there. Apparently, it's a thing. So you can go check that out. The actor who played the Red Skull wants to be Marvel's Moon Knight. So the guy who played Red Skull in Marvel Studios' Avengers Infinity says that he would also like to play Moon Knight. Probably without the Red Skull makeup. I'm just making a guess, but more than likely. Ant-Man and Wasp, Michael Douglas wants to play Hank Pym in a prequel. Michael Douglas is so old. They would have to do that Tron Legacy thing, Jeff Bridges, and like glue the erasers to his face and then try to make him look like the China Syndrome. I don't know that that's a good idea. Just Michael Douglas, let it go. You know, you've reached an age. It's time to just play the parts that you're meant to. A report came out this week saying that Avengers Infinity War cut 30 minutes of Thanos' backstory. So maybe you're going to get one of those like The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, once it, like a Blu-ray 5-hour version that will come out with all this extra stuff that was cut out. But apparently there's about 30 minutes of Thanos' backstory that was originally supposed to be in there. Let's see. Marvel Studios commits to more women directors, a completely different new slate of 20 films. Okay. So it looks like in an interview promoting this week's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Kevin Feige said that there are a whole bunch of new films they're trying to get new directors for. Okay, well, if the movies are good, fine. Who cares? Obi-Wan Star Wars film could be saved for a streaming service. Now, we have heard of that because of the backlash for The Last Jedi and all the stuff, Solo not doing well, that Disney has put a lot of these Star Wars movies on hold. Some have said all the spin-offs are on hold. Some have said all the movies are on hold. Not sure exactly where we're at right now as far as all that stuff goes. But we do know that it looks like Obi-Wan could be one of those things saved for an exclusive for the new Disney streaming service that they're working on. Great, whatever. Honestly, I'm sure it'll come out in a red box at some point, and that's probably when I'd catch it anyway. Let's see here. The Flash and Riverdale stars reflect on the backlash to their casting. Okay. And there's nothing written, no notes on that one, so I have no idea what that story's about. Rampage director signs on for a live-action Skyward film. Okay. So Skyward from Image Comics looks like it's going to be getting a live-action film, but from the guy who did Rampage, that new movie with The Rock, with the giant animals from the video game, George, with The Rock screaming at George, the giant ape, through that entire movie. That's the guy they're getting to do the movie? Well, all right then. Good luck to you. Hope it makes $1 million. Jeremy Renner is potentially joining the Spawn movie reboot as Twitch Williams. They're making another Spawn movie. They claim this one won't be as terrible as the last one. I know there are people who like that original Spawn movie. I am not one of your brethren. But anyway, nonetheless, if you want to go to the Google Docs page, you can see that there's a bunch of clickbait articles. The original City on the Edge of Forever shooting script is there. Let's see. A bunch of Harlan Ellison notes, it looks like, on there. Comics belong in the classroom from the writer of New Superman. So you can find some of that stuff on there. All right, some other news. Boom Studios is getting a full order of Bone Parish, which is a new series from Cullen Bunn. And it's called a necromantic horror series. So keep that in mind. We got some SDCC panels. I know Boom, Marvel. I'm trying to think someone else. Maybe IDW have released their schedules for panels. So you can check that stuff out online. It's out there. Boom Studios is going to be releasing Form of a Question hardcover, which is a original graphic novel memoir from about Jeopardy, the TV show Jeopardy. Being on the show, being a contestant, I guess. So there you go. There's a bunch of Fantastic Four #1 covers. The Art Germ covers look fabulous. You can find those online. Joe Quesada is doing a massive, I think it's like a fold-out cover. So that's cool. So there's a bunch of stuff going on with Fantastic Four 1. Fortunately, it's still written by Dan Slott. They haven't fixed that yet, but nonetheless, that's what's going on there. Let's see here. Click on this. DC pays tribute to Harlan Ellison, talented, polarizing, yet always entertaining. Okay, sure enough. Aspen. Aspen created. Let me start this again. I'm just going to start this one over. Aspen celebrated Michael Turner's 10-year passing with Legacy. Michael Turner, brilliant artist, did a lot of stuff in the comic industry. His style was different. There was a lot of like good girl artwork out there, and he took a different approach to it. It was still really detailed, beautiful, beautiful stuff, but it didn't look like the other Lady Death and kind of the buxom stuff that was going on. He made it a lot more like a really nice, clean. Like he was like the new coming of George Perez, you could say, in a way. Unfortunately, he died. I want to say it was cancer that he had. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, he died. It was 10 years ago, and I can still remember being at the con. I think it was Chicago Comic Con, as a matter of fact. And it was like the news came out like a day, maybe the day before or 2 days before the convention, and so the Aspen booth was just. It was really sad. Like it was really everything was just pared down, and usually there's a lot of activity, and they hand out a lot of stuff, and guys are there to do signings, and it was really somber and sad. We miss him, but there is that legacy out there, which you can see. And if you missed out, if you were not a fan back in the days, you know who Michael Turner is. Do some Google searches because it is beautiful artwork. Let's see. We have Harley Quinn finally gets back at the Joker for years of abuse. I believe this is referring to the issue that came out last week, the prelude to the wedding. Harley Quinn and Joker. Joker, of course, wanted to go to the wedding and wanted to get an invite. Harley Quinn stepped up to stop him because now she's kind of heroic because she was popular in the movie. So she fought back against the Joker. And beat him up pretty good, although he still came out on top of it. Walmart now has these DC 100-page giant comics, these big bundle reprints of DC stuff, and I think there's a few pages of new material in there, and you're going to have to go to Walmart and find them. I know at our local stores, they tend to be with like the trading cards, Pokemon cards, and baseball cards, and that kind of stuff in that area. Some stores have them in the toy departments. Some stores have them with the books and magazines. And I even saw a store that had them in the electronics department. Figure that one out. They were right across from the Rokus and Fire TVs. And you turn around and there's books right there. Don't know. But those are some places to look. Run to your local Walmart and check them out. DC did an explanation this week about why it spoiled the Batman Catwoman wedding issue. We talked about that earlier, so I'm not going to spoil it here, but they knew it was one of those things that was going to get away from them as soon as press copies went out last week, and then retailers were going to get their copies at the beginning of this week, so they knew it would get out ahead of time. Rich Johnson was going to put all over Bleeding Cool. They knew it was a thing, so they went to the New York Times, and they had them put together this little article that would spoil it, and the article, it was kind of buried in the article, but it was there. So if you read through it, eventually you got to the point. It was like, hey, here's a spoiler, and here's what happened. But unfortunately, the editors of the New York Times, when they got the article, they decided to just spoil it right in the headline and went to press. And so that really sucked for everybody. And a wild Roddy cat has appeared. Roddy.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
For some strange reason, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you got a wicked echo on you for some reason.
I have an echo?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And I don't know if it's coming from my end or yours.
I don't know, because I haven't had headphones in because I don't like to listen to myself.
Fair enough. I understand that one.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Now there's no echo.
Right.
Oh, so I probably had an echo this whole time.
Oh, great. So that means people had it in stereo. That's all good. Hey.
Well, anyway, I have to take out these headphones because, I just hear myself.
Yeah. I know.
My headphones, and that drives me crazy. So I haven't figured out how to fix that yet.
Trust me, I understand that one. And plus, earbuds in general, just hate them in my ears. So I hear you.
All the comics. I went through the news that was up top. Now I went past the clickbait. Now I'm at the news at the bottom.
Wait, clickbait? What? Oh, yeah. The actual clickbait.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I heard you talking about
So,
I heard you talking about Batman 50. So I think I know where you're at.
Yeah. Although, do you have any books that you want to talk about? My click of the week was actually the Immortal Hulk #2.
No.
They turned Hulk into a horror comic, and it is fantastic.
I read the first one after last month, whenever it came out, and I'm like, this is an interesting direction for them to go to. But I haven't had a chance to read this book or any book this week, actually, and that's I am just getting home from Ant-Man and getting my books.
Yeah, so make sure you read Immortal Hulk #2. It is great. It's also, just in case you want to know, Legacy number 719.
Sure.
You're looking for number 719. It's that one. Nice.
Yeah, and the other reason, which I think I probably mentioned it when we talked about this the last time, was like I like Al Ewing's writing. So going into it with that, was the thing that I was interested in. But this is very different from the stuff that he's normally done. That part I can safely say, because like I said, his style is more a little, not necessarily jokey, but it's lighter, or at least some of the lighter stuff that I have read for him. So this is maybe slight of an apartment or departure for him, or maybe he's done some stuff that I don't know about that's been like this before. So,
well, regardless, it's good.
Yeah, cool. Let's see.
Bravo! I love that. Oh, it's great.
Okay, so DC Sport. There we go. So I see where you're at right now. That's cool. And I forgot to fill some of this out, and I had some other stuff to put in. So it's all good. We'll run with this out. So you were just talking about the spoilage of the Batman 50.
Yeah, the New York Times, being the New York Times, pulled a Rich Johnson. So
for those in the know where that is, we don't have to go there on that one, because that guy. So have you done the stuff that you've done the Tom King one also, or are you just getting to that?
I haven't talked about that one yet.
Okay. So yeah, so I guess we can go on and say, and actually I can pull this out, right? I don't have it. I'm just gonna do this for the time being. BAP. So yeah, the next story is Tom King promises some weird headlines. Nobody has spoiled the end of his Batman Catwoman story. So the gist of it is, after the spoilers of the New York Times article, Tom King kind of went out there and was like, it is not the whole story, only part of the story, and apparently this is a 100-issue run. So therefore, whatever was spoiled in 50 is not the end of the story, nor is it the end of the world. But I'm pretty sure he's probably still kind of upset that it got spoiled. Yeah, like I haven't read this yet, so I don't know what actually happens in this, and now I'm, was debating about whether I was actually going to read this or not. But I figure, hey, it's a big issue, you might as well. So that
was one of my criticisms of it. It won't take you more than a couple minutes to go through, because there's so many pin-up pages and whatever 2-page spreads that they just had artists come in and fill in and do a page. So you've got, a Frank Miller page, and you've got a Greg Capullo page, and Mitch Gerards does a 2-page spread and whatever, and they just put a couple word balloons on them. So half the book just feels like you flip to this full-page artwork and you read, 20 words and you're done with the page. So. Sure,
and I think I may have seen in another article like a page, a panel or two. So nothing necessarily a spoiler, just like, hey, this is a panel out of it. So cool. That is the thing. I'm sure people would enjoy it. Did the shop that you usually frequent have a midnight sale?
No. They were going to. But UPS decided that they just weren't going to send stuff out. They had some sort of
right
up at the shipping place in Hodgkins, Illinois, and they just said, you know what? Instead of shipping this out at 5 o'clock in the morning, we're going to ship it out at 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
So
you did mention that in group chat.
Down from the Chicago area to downstate, and it was too late at night for there to be anybody at the UPS place to actually unpack the truck. So they just sat on a truck for 2 days until they decided to do it Thursday morning. So this morning is when all the local comic shops finally got their books.
Well, that sounds like absolute fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like anything big came out this week,
Nah. So to finish out the rest of the news, though, and I don't know why this thing came out so backwards, but next up we have a Supergirl premium figure from Sideshow.
It's on the art journal cover.
Yeah, that's good. Like, I don't know, because San Diego Comic-Con is coming up pretty soon, so therefore, you got a bunch of toy news and whatnot coming out, and this happens to be one of them. Including, I know I don't have it in the lineup, but there was a Captain America one that I think Tim put in the chat earlier that looked pretty damn good. So next up after that, the MCU's Avengers Tower makes its Marvel's Comics debut, which I could have sworn it's done that before already. Because this was from Old Man Logan last week, so spoiler for that, I guess. But apparently, Old Man Logan, or in the future, quote unquote, of Old Man Logan / Old Man Hawkeye, Avengers Tower is still standing and is this MCU version. Yeah,
well, see, I could have sworn that they showed that building as the Stark.
Exactly. Exactly. When like a couple of Avengers volumes ago, I could have sworn they did something like that. So this being this is the actual, the movie version of it. But I want to say there might have been a difference from that version to this one, but I'm with you in thinking that I thought it was the same way because they were in the tower just like similar to this, like a few Avengers, like when they did the when they had like Miss Marvel and Nova and them on the team.
I vaguely remember the Spider-Men were both on the observation deck as part of like this party with all the different Avengers there, and they were all mingling and having like hors d'oeuvres and whatever, and before some crisis hit.
Yeah, almost like Age of Ultron style.
Yeah.
That I think that did happen, and it was
maybe that was the Stark building, and now they just put the big A on it. So they
maybe because I remember like they had the Stark Tower, and then things happened, and then I think Stark ended up selling the tower for some other reason, and that's when after the champ, or that was when things started breaking off. So I don't know, it's still weird. But next up we have Marvel has introduced the heroic counterpart to the Hand.
This is what Dave and I were actually talking about 2 weeks ago, maybe. Order of the Dragon, is that what it was called? Yeah, they made their appearance, and basically they're a bunch of instead of undead ninjas, they're all like Catholic monk assassins.
So they're basically like Templars or something.
Yeah. So just as crazy as the idea of having these undead ninja assassins, you have these Catholic monk assassins, but it's actually really cool. The story's a lot of fun.
Weird. Interesting though, but weird. Let's see. And after that, nope. Switch that one around because for some reason. So Love is in the Air for Thors Talking Dog. Have you read Thor 2? Because that's what this is from.
Yeah. Well, I started it, but I didn't finish it. I'm actually, I'm not real hot on the Thor books. I read 1 and then I started reading through 2, and I just kind of, it's. I don't think this runs for me.
Understood. Yeah, I haven't really been messing with any of them, but basically, so Thor's dog, where he found in Unworthy Thor, fell in love with a dragon. Spoiler alert, I guess. So that's a thing. Yeah, I don't know. Marvel announces 3 more Infinity Warps titles. So we found out, I think last week, that there's going to be some Warp characters that are going to have miniseries coming out of Infinity Wars. And these are ones we knew about though. So what are the other ones? Or are they saying they're basically so they're basically saying that the ones that are announced are going to have their own miniseries, basically. So Arachnite, Ghost Panther, and Weapon Hex, which I kind of figured maybe that would have been the case already. So that's a thing. I don't know.
Thing, but it's not my thing.
I don't know. I will check out at the very least the number one issues of these, but it just seems weird. I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't see the point. Like I understand the point is, and we all understand that. But as far as like where the story's going and why we're supposed to care about these characters and why they're going to do a miniseries and why I would want to buy it, I don't feel like they've done anything other than just like, hey kids, buy comics.
Yeah, probably. I was thinking, well, if you're gonna do an amalgam comics, well, like go to the other side, go to the distinguished competition, as some folks would say, and bring that back up again. And if you're gonna do amalgam comics, messing with your own, which is I guess is a neat thing, but
yeah, but now you have to get Disney to work well with AT&T Time Warner.
Yeah. Okay, that's depressing. Let's move along. Speaking of depressing news, Ultimate Wolverine's new powers and name explained. I know you are not a fan. You yourself are not a fan of Jimmy Hudson.
Nope.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you as to seeing the point of this guy being here in the Prime universe and whatnot. But apparently he's got new powers and a new name, and it's not Honey Badger, so who cares? Because that name's already taken. A new flower. Wait, let me make sure that I'm on point here because we're actually palming down here, and actually it looks like I might have skipped something. So who cares? Valerio CD's Tony Stark Iron Man design. So apparently he Valerio CD had some design sketches from new armors for the latest version of Iron Man. And this is some of his stuff, including this big on Megabot. There's the Tsum Tsum version. That's cute. Here's looks like a Voltron version of the armor here. And a spacesuit.
One of those will be available for sale in time for Christmas.
Right? There's the Bethany Gabe. And wait, is that a controller? Yeah, it sure is. Jeez, there's something like. Anyway, there's some designs that he did, and I'm sure some, if not all of that, will bear out into the Tony Stark Iron Man book. Let's see, and I think we're no. Oh, I did miss this one. Joe Quesada reveals a hidden gem in Fantastic Four variant, and that gem is, I have no idea because I didn't read this, but it's a nice looking variant.
Holograms with that gem.
Boom. Yes, very nice. Hold on, a slow clap for that one. But anyway, the Joe Quesada has it's a very nice variant, by the way. And I don't know what the human gem is, and it doesn't seem like it says, unless it's the actual gem being like a whatever. But anyway, August 8th, it'll be out there. Go catch it. Fantastic Four. Yay, rah, rah. Last but not least, I believe, because I think we caught everything else, a new Firefly prequel will reveal the full story of how Captain Mal and Zoe first met. I was talking to a shop guy earlier, and he and the son was shout out to Heroes and Dragon was going over, basically replaying or rewatching the Firefly again. So, and he knew about this. He was pretty excited about this book coming out. So, which I'm kind of interested in because that was a story that I've actually wanted to see, and I never, because if you know anything about Firefly, it didn't last that long, and it only spawned like a movie out of it.
I was gonna say, and they did some comics already, and they didn't do all this either.
I mean, from what I understand, they sold pretty decent to keep putting them out, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, because that was Dark Horse, and now it's moved to Boom.
Right.
So Dark Horse did some series, and then they just kind of abandoned it for a while, and now it looks like Boom has finally picked it back up. And
I know that was a Giles series. Never mind, because I was about to say that there was a fairly recent Firefly book, but it wasn't. That was a Giles one that was out. that might be a part of this boom issue thing. I'm not sure, but hey, there you go. Firefly fans, brown coats, rejoice, have fun, and I believe that is it for Z News. Have no variants or nothing else.
All right, then I will do one more ad read.
All right.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, even digital comics. And every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a small payment to help keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free to our listeners. This means no extra cost to you. We don't charge a subscription for the show. I don't know if you people notice that. We just do it out of the kindness of our hearts. And part of it is because when you do stuff like this, you click on the link, you go to Amazon, you buy some stuff. It allows us to like pay for the servers that host the show and do all that fun stuff. So go to Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today. And there we go.
Ching. I like how you had that that graphic at the ready. That's pretty great.
I think I need a little box here that I've got all this stuff wired into where I can pull them up.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Stuff. So
well,
anyway,
in that case, well, let's bring this boat on in then.
Alrighty. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to add? Any particular books or anything?
No, like I said, I hadn't been able to check out any books. I did.
Say about that?
I will say that the movie was fun. That if you like the first Ant-Man, you'll probably like this one more than likely. And there's an article about its placement in relation to other big movies. So I won't go into that.
But does it still have that fun, you know, because like the first one made the first one so good was it kind of went along the same lines as that Guardians of the Galaxy, where it was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. There's a lot of jokes and goofiness and stuff thrown in there.
It is still that movie. It is still that. So yeah, I don't want to say they lean heavily into it, but they definitely, you know, they definitely keep those beats.
Okay, cool.
So definitely. I can't say, well, I don't know. Like there's probably not much to process out of them. Like I said, it was just a big fun movie. There's probably one of two things that would be processable, and there's one thing I kind of want to say, but even though it's not spoilerish, but I'll save it for a couple of days because it is a personal thing that I was happy to see. So that's about it.
All right, then. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next week here on the Comic Book Chronicles.
Good evening. Would you believe